welcome back to the channel. Me and little man, we in Georgia. We're going to go check out a place that we never been to. I've been saying that I'm going to come down here for like 2 years, and today is the day. All right, there we are, and I know who's in that white truck. And look who it is.
Pretty good timing.
Never know who you might meet out here in the woods.
In the middle of nowhere.
I'm following Jay. He's taking us in a secret location. All right, me and little man, we're getting to go in the shop. Look who it is.
What's going on? These are all high flyers and buck kickers mainly. Trying to catch up on waterfowl right now. They're getting ready to be black. So like I say, I do everything in house except the black eye. What I'll do, that's hopefully set it around a little bit. So this is running the back side of the show tube, but I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out on the front. In here though, when you kind of get used to it.
Well, it's not as hot in here as I thought it would be because it actually feels better in here than it does outside.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
because it is hot outside.
We'll keep it tie this in here. And this is the finished product. This is 2 passes on the lathe. From there on, we just measure it, make sure everything's good. We do the OD, ID, threads, and length. But we got plugs, so depending on whatever we're making, I believe, what are these? This is smoked skeet chokes.
All right.
So this is a 5,000 skeet choke for an vector plug. So we'll just run a plug through the insides, check the ID, pass it through, check the threads. Check the OD, and that's pretty much it as far as the lathe part of things goes. Then from there, this will move over to a mill and be ported. So, like I say, we start off with solid bark pipe. So now we're just going to run the front side of the choke tube. This is it with no coolant. You got to turn the coolant on for that one. It'll burn up about it. But it'll drill out the inside, and then it'll pour it out and get the right ID and a big front side of your choke.
That's a lot of fluid that's flowing there.
Yeah, that one's the most important. It's going to burn that drill up, and we don't run a bunch to it. Then I'll take you over there and let you look at the robot. The robot's pretty cool. It's like a toolist machine I got. Like this, that'll be your finished product out of the milling station. You can see that one good. Down here. This is the biggest trick to the trade right here. Is you gotta learn. When you start, you'll learn a little bit easier how to polish some of these things. It's kind of a special technique you got to do. That's it.
It sure did. It sure did polish it up then.
Mm-hmm.
So this machine is an automatic robot. It's going to go and grab the chokes and load them automatically.
That's it. Has a Boswell machine, so he still machines a lot of these little parts. You know, I do everything choke tube. All I do is choke tube, but he'll still do, you know, actual signed jobs. You know, some like pipe fittings. He actually makes wheel spacers for the Tahoes and everything. So he still makes a lot of stuff. But this machine right here, like I say, I don't know the exact date, but it's mid-30s. Still runs good. And it actually made, you could probably Google that daggum serial number right there and figure it out. But yeah, it still runs good. Yeah, right here. Is that a little bit bigger one? But it's funny, I always talk about this, how cool it is. You know, when this was used and brand new back in the 30s, who knows what this thing made? This thing is making ammunition parts for the war.
Ain't no telling.
So it was making gun parts, I'm sure. You know, you never know. It's got a lot. There's a lot of history in these machines. It's pretty cool, and they still run.
So this is the ones your dad started with?
So my dad, when we originally started this, my granddad was running steel for Westinghouse, and this is what he was doing, just screw machine work mainly. And then when we got into started messing around with choke tubes in the mid-90s, when the machining industry kind of took a dump, and we had a lot of downtime, so they started messing around with choke tubes. We was hunters. You know, my granddad always shot. He's a master class shot, good shot. So we just started messing around with these choke tubes, and it's pretty much how we got started. But this is like Daddy, for example. If he was still here, and he would love if he was still here, because he always loved to come machine something on this old Bridgeport here. And I'm telling you, Daddy could machine a choke tube faster on this Bridgeport than he could one of these CNC machines.
That's crazy.
So, and that's where I say the real talent is, because you know a lot of people rely on these CNC machines, but man, you get an old machinist in here who can double turn this baby and get it right. That's a skill. That's definitely a skill of the trade.
It's a trade we're losing too.
Oh yeah. So this is a pretty old one. I've actually got a Bridgeport. I think this one actually had one of the old computers on it where you could program it and it'd do stuff for it. I've got another one over there in one of the other pods that has a computer on it as well. So mainly what this thing is used for now by me is just a drill. I'll come drill some stuff out. That's about it. Yeah, so what I do over here, if I knew what I was telling you about sanding them out earlier, this is what I used to sand out in the inside. So we'll bring it back here. I'll pull that. Well, I'll sand out the inside, and that's just getting where we put the ports in. Sometimes there's some chips that get welded in there, depending on how worn out the end mill is. I'll just sand out the inside, make sure everything's clean in there, make sure it's a smooth transition. That's 7/8, but it'll start out and I'll run. I've got different, the 20 gauge side is mainly what I run. As far as on the big screw machine is 12 gauge. That's all I run on that one. But as far as 20 gauge stuff and 410 and any other sub gauge stuff, I'll take over to my bandsaw over there, cut it out, and that's how I do the 20 gauge and sub gauge stuff.
What's that?
That's harder steel. You can tell by the color difference. Right. It's a little bit different heat treat. It's still 17.4, but the egg is a little bit different. I can't remember what the hardness on that steel particularly was. I'll run that steel not in, if I'm cutting it on the Wickman and stuff, I will run that steel like if I'm running something on the bandsaw, if I've got to make like tri-bore, fat-bore, and tri-bore HP, something that I don't run in the Wickman, because that's where it really bogs down, is in the Wickman, and getting it shipped up and having to change drill bits and stuff. But I will run that stuff for, different choke tubes that I don't have to run in the Wickman and the big screw machine. So, but generally, as far as that thing, I've ran that thing my whole life, and depending on what steel you're running, I can tell when the hardness of steel changes just by looking at the chips. Well, the chips and the sound too, of course, but by looking at the chip buildup. I've ran steel that I can run that Wickman all day and only have to clean it out a couple times. I've also ran steel where it cuts about 6 or 7 blanks and it looks like a daggum spider web in there. So, but like I say, normally I just, this is our standard steel we get, but we have tried, we get other steel, of course, and, depends on what the mill's got. Like back in COVID 2020, we couldn't get steel from anywhere. So what we had to do is kind of a funny story. We've got all these blanks laying around and if I had a bin around here, I'd show you, but it just, come back here. All these old blanks right here is just built up over time. What Luke and another boy they went through all these bins back here and they cut these blanks to size, and then that's how we ran, because we didn't have any steel back in 2020. That's how we ran it. They had to go through all this stuff, and it was a lot more than this, and they resized everything and ran it.
Wow.
So, as much as I like to clean up around here, I will never convince Luke to clean up ever again after 2020. So I've kind of given up on that. He's made a bunch of, I couldn't tell you what it's for, he could, but I can't. I just remember having to make some of them. But stuff like that, I mean, I don't know what it would be to. But
that's how y'all got started.
How we got started, making There's one right there. That's your jet for the carburetor. I don't know what carburetor it is. Is on the machining side of things, Stuart runs bottle machine. He makes all sorts of stuff. Like this is a leveling kit for a Tahoe. That he, everybody, approaches him with a job and he does it. So, but this is pretty cool. That's a leveling kit. He makes a bunch of crazy stuff. He was making choke for suppressors, like adapters and suppressors. I don't know where he is. We make all sorts of cool stuff. But all those old screw machines that I was showing you, he makes a lot of pipe fitting, little brass pipe fitting and stuff. Like, to put it in perspective, and I think I may have said this on the podcast too, like when I'm talking about when we first started, like as far as the machining side of things, and I said that we was making such a big quantity of like small parts, but the giant quantities. Back in the 80s, you would lose a job over like half of a cent.
That's
crazy. It's that big of a quantity. So it's just small parts, but very, very high quality. Used to be. Nowadays, the machining size kind of slowed down a little bit. He still runs a good bit of stuff, more or less just like loyal people who's always done stuff for me. I don't know if he really does too much more of the machine. I don't really know if he takes too many jobs anymore. I have to really ask him that, but that's how we got started. That's exactly like running that kind of stuff and those little small pipe things. That's exactly how we got started.
And that's your uncle, right?
So my uncle Stuart Boswell, he is owner of Boswell Machine and Compenshow. Yeah.
So Compensho's made out of the same side.
Compenshow,
same family.
Yeah, we are the same family. So Stuart's my uncle. He runs both of that, and that was my granddad's original design. So the way it worked, my uncle took over Compenshow and Boswell Machine, and then my dad and my youngest uncle Luke took over Tix Industries, and now Daddy passed away. Now talking to me. So
now you had to step up and be big boy.
I'm the pretty face around here. Yeah.
Oh man, I don't have that filter on this phone then.
So they moved down here from Alabama, and then when my granddad got married, he moved to Newington, Georgia. So when he moved to Newington, he got a job over at Westinghouse, which was in Hampton, South Carolina. So he moved over there, was working at Westinghouse, and he started running steel for Westinghouse. The old building out behind the Farmville Fire Department. That's where he started running steel at, and that's where some of these screw machines came from. That's where he started running steel at. And from there, he would run steel there, and then he built a shop. They moved out to Lake Warren, actually, behind Lake Warren. That's where Daddy grew up. He grew up there from when he was probably 7 to when he was 22, when they moved back. They moved out there and they moved the shop out there. So they started running steel, in the shop, and it's kind of how we got started. And then from there, they moved back. My granny Boswell, my granddad's mother, wasn't doing good. She was getting of age. So they moved back over here, built this shop over here, late 80s, early 90s, and here we are. So we was just, still doing the machining, the Boswell machine side of things. And in the mid 90s, the machining industry kind of took a dump, and then we got to messing around with choke tubes, and here we are. That's the story. I guess an interesting one.
So this event right here is what put y'all on the board, huh?
Yep, that's what put us on the board.
Right,
we won that, and because like I said, we got started big, and where we was really shining at was Turkey Woods. That's how we started, and then early 2000s, mid 2000s, waterfowl picked up dramatically because of Duck Commander. Thanks to Duck Commander. So, and it was funny. My granddad had been, they've been shooting at choke since the mid 90s. We'd known them for a while, and I think I may have said this on the podcast too. When they was coming out with the original Duck Commander show, not Duck Dynasty. Everybody thinks of Duck Dynasty, but the original Duck Commander show.
That's the Duckman show.
Yes, the original show. They was asking for a choke tube sponsorship, or said something about it, and they was like, they didn't have a good price. They never done nothing like that, but it was like, well, they made it through the first year, and Willie called it back. He's like, hey man, we're gonna have to renegotiate this, because I think like 90% of their phone calls was about choke tubes. So they, as far as the waterfowl world, will allot the Duck Commander, because they put us on the map, and that's till to this day I'm the biggest in the waterfowl industry. As far as my manufacturing industry, all the biggest seller is my waterfowl choke. I've claimed to be the best in the industry. There's a lot of competitors out there now, but I'm still one of the tops for sure. So that's how we got started.
All right, man. I appreciate the tour.
Yes, good to see
Glad
you.
to talk to you again.
Oh yeah.
Pretty cool. So,
Yeah,
till
do it
next
every day.
time.
Yes, sir. We do it. We plan on being here as long as we can, so we'll be here.
Sounds good. All right, I appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, there you go. That's tour of the shop. Pretty cool, out in the middle of nowhere. So y'all hit that subscribe button, and I'll see y'all next time. I want to take a second out of this video to tell y'all every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have a live. It's called The Waterfowl Den. We talk hunting, we talk turkey hunting, deer hunting, whatever hunting is in season, we talk about it. We have guests on, we have all kind of product reveals, interviews. So come check us out Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll see you then.